What up, people? We are back. We got another fight card to break down. UFC 313 this time. It's a pay-per-view card. We're looking at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time this Saturday, March 8th. Headlined by Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Pretty decent card. It's not like super stacked, but it's got a pretty fair amount of names on there that you might recognize. And then one or two kind of up-and-comers looking to establish themselves in the sport, I guess you could say. Not a ton of action that we were like real pumped about as far as the bets go. One or two that were pretty interesting. Couple were entertaining playing, but nothing that I'm like, oh my god, lay the house on it. But maybe we'll get lucky and hit one or two and come out ahead for the evening. Getting right into the card though, quite a few on the lower ones that we're not really gonna mess with. Some names that we're not as familiar with, and frankly, just didn't feel like spending hours and hours researching a bunch of people that I'm not as familiar with. So Jordan Santos, Ozzy Diaz, we're gonna cruise right on past. Myron Santos versus Francis Marshall. I don't know, who cares. Alex Morono versus Carlos Leal. Not super familiar with Carlos Leal. We've seen Alex Morono multiple times. The guy, I don't know, man. He wasn't great to begin with and seems to have fallen off even more. Seems like he really can't hurt basically anyone these days with his punches. He's not exactly athletically gifted. Doesn't even have the greatest fight IQ. Sometimes he does shit that you're like, what are you doing, bro? So just without even looking up Carlos Leal, I would say probably bet on him. But that's me being, I guess, a little bit biased. He's only 30, 21-6, pretty good record. I think Morono's a bit older than that. 34, so it's not like he's ancient. Interesting scrap. We'll watch it. I don't know that I'm going to play anything. Maybe take Carlos inside the distance or something. Or I don't know. Surely there's some kind of play out there for it. Next up, Bruno Ferreira versus Armen Petrosyan. This is one that I've seen quite a few people talking about betting on. Some going with Bruno Ferreira as the dog. He's extremely explosive. The guy's dangerous. Throws big haymakers. Pretty decent in the grappling. He's kind of one of these like real compact dudes that's very strong. So he's like impossible to control and submit. Armen Petrosyan kind of has like a judo background base. Does a lot of like throws and shit. Decent striking. Not the greatest fighter ever. This is actually a pretty good matchup, and I think the odds are pretty accurate here, being close to even money. I do think Bruno has a chance to get the upset here, landing a big punch. I think Armen's been slept before anyway, so going out there, throwing some big shots, landing something, and putting them away is not like the furthest stretch ever I could see it happening. But personally, I'd probably leave it alone. Joshua Van versus Ray Saruya. We've seen Joshua Van. We've seen, I think, 2 of his fights now. Ray, I've only seen 1 of his fights, his last one. Good wrestler, pretty solid grappler. Did start to kind of get manhandled a little bit, so you worry a little bit about like the horsepower and how he's going to do against somebody who's just a freaking monster in Joshua Van. Thought I was hearing thunder. It is supposed to be storming. I would go probably with Joshua Van here. That's probably the safe bet. But sometimes I worry about Joshua Van's fight IQ and some of the choices he makes during fights. He gets a little reckless. I think he said before something in interviews about like wanting to be entertaining over just winning fights. So it's like, all right, you got to wonder a little bit how that's going to hold up in the long run. Is this dude going to get derailed? Is he going to get caught, get emotional, and then get slept in an exchange or something along those lines? So it's hard to bet on guys like that who just basically want to go out there and lay it on the line and entertain the fans. I do think he's the better fighter, more physically gifted fighter. It just makes me hesitant sometimes when they say things like that. So take that for what you will. Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kunev. Don't know a ton about Rizvan. We've seen him like some of his highlights and stuff online, and then the one thing we saw about him too was the whole steroid test. He popped dirty for like 4 fucking steroids or something. A bunch of stuff that I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce. Dude's pretty good though. You got to wonder how much of it is just a gift of the juice Pretty explosive, pretty fast. Going against a guy in Curtis Blades, who good wrestler. Putting together the striking. He's pretty heavy-handed, too, and getting better in that department. Not the most technical, like, flashy dude out there, but he kind of does the basics and does them pretty well. What are the odds here? Well, for the money, you could take plus 265. I'd do the under. I don't hate the under here either. Let's do that. We'll do the under 2.5 on that one. Play it safe. I think for plus 265 at heavyweight, where one punch can change the outcome of a fight. I think Rizvan that's not a bad bet there. At those odds, if they were closer to even money, I'd probably lean Curtis Blades just for the level of competition he's been fighting. The caliber of fighters that he's had to test himself against is probably significantly higher than that of Rizvan. But for those odds, I'll play him. Bobby King Green versus Mauricio Huffy. This is the first fight of the main card, I do believe. Yeah. Fun scrap here. King Green, been around the block fucking a million times. It's like 37 or something like that. He's getting a little bit up there in age. He's not like ancient by any means, but this is probably the back nine. Yeah, 38. Okay. 32-16. He's got 11 knockouts, 9 submissions, 12 decision wins, 5 KO losses, 3 submission losses, 8 decisions. He's coming off a win. Was it over Jim Miller? No, coming off a loss over Paddy Pimblett. Completely forgot about that. So what to say about old Bobby Green? Let me pull up my notes. Pretty fast. He's a quick fighter. Has okay scrambles, kind of unconventional striking, puts his hands down, kind of move, like bobs at the waist, to slip strikes, things like that. It's got decent footwork as well. It's not like amazing or anything, but it's decent. It's got an okay low kick. I think a lot of his game relies on being quick, being physically gifted, being like explosive and having fast reflexes, and that's all things that as you get a little bit older kind of start to go away. So at 38, you got to start wondering if those things are going to start going by the wayside, and then he's going to start getting caught by lesser guys. And I don't think Mauricio Huffy is a lesser guy. I think he's just as good. So doesn't bode well for him. Taking a look at old Mauricio Huffy here. 28 years old. He's 11-1. I think he's got almost all by knockouts, right? 10 knockouts, 1 decision. 1 KO loss, and it's been a while. It's been 2019. So it was the end of 2019, so you might as well call it 2020. So it's been about 5 years. I mean, closer to like 5.25, 5.5. Kind of a longer stance. Like a L stance, if you will, I guess. A little bit upright. Pretty similar to Conor McGregor. I'm not the only one who's made that comparison, so we're not going to harp on it. There's tons of people who have kind of touched on that. Not a super long striker. Like, he's kind of got like a hard, short, like jab, real stabbing, almost like a fencer. Is kind of lunging in and stabbing real hard. Like, really, I think can hurt some people with that jab. He's got a good low kick. I think because of that like L stance, that longer stance that he has, he in turn is susceptible to the low kick. That James Lontop, or however you say it. Yeah, James Lontop caught him with that a couple times. Got an insanely hard straight right, much like Conor straight left. That's really the difference between the two. They're kind of mirrors of each other. Conor is a southpaw, Mauricio Huffy being orthodox. Fight IQ leaves a little bit to be desired. He had Lontop hurt pretty early in that fight, and then threw like a crazy fucking tornado kick or something instead of choosing maybe the safer shots and securing the win. So you wonder a little bit about that coming out of the fight. The Fighting Nerds, the camp with Kyle Braujo, Gene Silva, Carlos Prates, all those guys, surrounded by very high caliber fighters and ones with better fight IQ than that. So I would like to see them kind of rub off on him. I would think surely somebody in that gym is grabbing him and going, "Hey, fuckface, like, what are we doing here?" Kyle Braujo had better be the one doing that, because I actually think he's got pretty good fight IQ and really knows how to go out there and do the things it takes to secure a win. So to save myself from rambling too terribly long here, Huffy's defensively decent. He gets a little reactionary and he kind of paws at the incoming strikes. So I wonder if King Green will slip around that. For these odds, you got to be tempted to play Bobby Green. I do think Huffy will win, though. At minus 510, it's a little fucking nuts. I don't know that I can play that. Really, I mean, there's no money to be made there. You're going to have to find a prop of some sort. You can maybe do Huffy early or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what to play on this one. I'd probably just leave it alone and enjoy the show. Next up, we have Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here because I'm seeing so many people talking about Yasmin Lucindo, how she's, a good fighter and all this stuff. I'm not seeing it, dude. I'm not seeing it. I watched the tape here. Things that stand out to me are Amanda Lemos' power. She's pretty explosive. She's coming off that sub loss to Virna Jandiroba. Not the greatest ground game ever. Not the greatest takedown defense, but I think when you're aware that that's kind of your weakness, it's easy to then narrow that out and work on that. It's been pretty obvious that that's her weakness for a while, so you got to think that they're fucking working on that. Cardio seems okay. Pretty hard striker, especially for the women's division, like the lighter women's divisions. She cracks. And you got somebody, now, the age difference here is something to consider. Yeah, Amanda Lemos, 37. You got Yasmin Lucindo, who's 23 years old, so she's young as shit. 17-5, so she's got quite a bit of fight experience, given how young she is. She's southpaw as well, so then you got to wonder, is Lemos getting a lot of exposure to southpaws in the gym? Surely, game plan for this fight, that's something that her coaches would notice and be getting her work, getting her some southpaw looks. So hopefully she's planning for that. But I think Lemos is faster. I think she has more power. Yasmin looked particularly slow to me, honestly. She was throwing jabs from way outside of range. Way outside of range. We're talking outside of kick range even. She was throwing jabs and shit. Good spin kick that she landed. I do recall that one. That one was pretty solid. We took note of that. Zero power behind it, though. It landed, and Marina Rodriguez looked like she could have given a flying fuck about it, if she didn't even flinch. I think, somebody like Lemos, if she would crack Rodriguez with a shot like that, I think she'd hurt her. I worry a little bit about Lemos' durability, but for the dog play here, I would take Amanda Lemos. I'd play her. You'd probably play her by decision. I think it was plus 225. Really, honestly, would probably do just the decision hedges here because you got plus money on both of them. But if you just wanted to play something straight up, Amanda Lemos to win plus 107 or by points plus 225, both those pretty solid bets. I like those. Next up, oops, I'm going wrong way. I got to go down my notes and up on the freaking UFC page. We've got great fight. One of the better fights of the night, in my opinion. I think the next three are all bangers, but this one's really going to be fun. Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Baumondes. You got Jalen Turner, the Tarantula. He's 29 years old, 14-8, 10 knockouts, 4 subs. He's been KO'd 4 times and has 4 decision losses. He's massive. Dude's 6'3", which is huge for that division. That would be, honestly, pretty big for welterweight. So I wonder if he's cutting a little too much weight, and that's why Jalen Turner, 1, seems to fade horribly, and 2, seems to get his lights just shut off whenever he gets hurt. Got a good win over Bobby Green, though. Speaking of old King Green that we were just breaking down. Really rough stoppage, too. That was a late stoppage. He was beating the fuck out of Bobby Green. Then, conversely, he hurt Renato Moicano, and then I don't know if he was hesitant to jump on Renato because of Moicano's ground game or if it was flashbacks to the Bobby Green situation. Take my gum out there. He got a good body kick, good straights, decent check hook. The body kicks are something I think in this fight could really pay dividends. And Ignacio Baumondes likes to switch stances a lot and kind of squares up when he does. So I could see some of those coming up the middle or, a round kick to the middle and hurting him. But taking a look at Baumondes, 27 years old, 16-5. He's got 11 knockouts, 1 sub, 4 decisions, 2 sub losses, 3 decision losses. He's also massive. I think he's 6. Well, they say 6'3" there, but then I think on SureDog they had him at 6'1" or something. But he is big. Pretty lanky fighter. I actually think he fights a little bit better at range than perhaps Jalen Turner does. Like, he uses the reach a little bit better. Yeah, see, they got him at 6'1". He likes the low kick. He'll pump it out there a couple times, and then he'll switch and throw it upstairs. Coming off a TKO win over Manuel Torres, that was pretty nice. Actually rocked his shit. I do worry about him squaring up some when he switches back and forth in the stance, which he does seem to do a pretty fair bit. He was getting caught in the body a little bit in his last fight, and somebody like Jalen Turner, as hard as he kicks, I could see it potentially hurting Bahamondes. He's got a great counter straight. Hit Torres with it twice while fading backwards. Just like straight down the pipe. I think that's actually what he might have finished him with. Hurt him, put him down. This fight's a real toss-up for me, man. Oh, well, there you go. Completely even money, minus 110, minus 110. I think if Bahamondes weathers the storm, the early rounds, I think he can get a win in round 2 or round 3. Under 2.5 might be the move here. Under 2.5's minus 145. I don't hate that. We might do that. Under 2.5, minus 145. You could take Bahamondes round 2, round 3. He's plus 750 and plus 1,200, and then take Jalen round 1 plus 425. Could do that as well. Interesting. We might have to do some of those. Next, moving on to the co-main event of the evening. Oh, I guess if I had to pick one guy, I'm going Bahamondes just for the main event challenge portion of it. Going Bahamondes. Next up, we got a rematch here. Rematch, ladies and gentlemen. Ring the bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Short notice fight for old Fiziev. They had a fight 2019, 2020, something like that. No, it wasn't that long ago. Maybe it's like 2022. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it. Either way, decision loss for Fiziev. Then he had a fight where he got his knee hurt against Gamrot. Yeah, knee injury. When was that? 23. I was even further off. And has since been out because of that injury, recovering. Old Justin Gaethje's had a couple fights since then, coming off a brutal loss to Max Holloway almost a year ago. This is a really fucking weird fight to me. So Justin Gaethje, supposedly he's the one who pushed for this to be for 3 rounds, but it was during the Dan Hooker fight that he was pushing for 3 rounds. I wonder if that's because Dan Hooker is so strong late, or if that's a damage factor. Justin Gaethje taking so much damage over his career, getting later in his career. In the late rounds is when he was stopped against Max. There's a lot of factors there. Is it a cardio thing? Why are we only going 3 rounds here? It might just be a money thing, honestly. Like you get paid the same either way, so why not do 3 rounds instead of 5? You're saving yourself quite a bit of wear and tear, both in the fight itself and in training camp. So can't blame him there. Fight style, Justin Gaethje supposedly has wrestling credentials. You never fucking see him, so who cares? A little bit upright in his stance, got great hooks, kind of ducks down and throws them, but he's crazy power. Great leg kicks, of course, just insanely good. With the leg kicks, like getting in the phone booth, chopping leg kicks, then going upstairs with the big hook. Pretty quick. Has a little bit of like the Homer Simpson fight style that people have made like a million memes about, where he kind of just trudges forward, throwing shots, eating shots, trying to put you away. Going against a guy in Fiziev who's a much more technical, like decorated striker, I guess you could say. Has a kickboxing background, taught a Tiger Muay Thai, has the crazy, he has the Muay Thai highlight where he bent backwards like the fucking Matrix to dodge a kick. But Gaethje's got that dog in him. I think that's kind of what was the difference in the first fight. Fiziev looked great early. Gaethje survived and then kind of put it on him late. Was able to piece him up pretty well. Man, the short notice nature of this fight makes me lean towards Gaethje. There's a age difference, though. 4 years. It's not like crazy. Gaethje will be 37 this year. You got to wonder, like, the mileage, is it starting to add up for Gaethje finally? Fiziev's going up a little bit. He was minus 150 just yesterday when I was looking at this. You could maybe take the under 2.5 here as well. I got to take Fiziev. I took him in the first one, and I was wrong, though. So feel free to fade me on this one. I just think the younger, the more explosive guy, technically a little bit better. God, as I'm sitting here saying this out loud, I kind of want to go Gaethje. I got to go Fiziev, man. I got to go Fiziev. I got to. I just think he's the better striker. He's more technical, younger, had some time to rest up. There were videos of him training just recently, though, so I think he's going to be in shape. Given that it's only 3 rounds, I don't worry too much about his cardio. Let's go Fiziev. Fuck it, especially for the dog money. All right, and then last but not least, the main event of the evening. We have Alex Poatan Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. What to say about Pereira that has not been said? Obviously, just crazy knockout power. The left hook from hell. Dude's got a kickboxing background, tons of experience over in that foray, I guess you could say. He beat Izzy there multiple times. Multiple-time world champion, comes over into MMA. I think he lost his first fight by submission and then proceeds to just go on an absolute tear, murdering everybody, becomes the middleweight champion, loses to Adesanya after beating Adesanya once in MMA as well. Moves up, murders everybody at light heavyweight, just obliterating people, coming off a win over Khalil Roundtree. Technique-wise, a little upright in his stance, so you sometimes worry about the takedowns, but not too many people have been successful there and have not been able to keep him down. Crazy hard low kicks. Everybody says it's like freakish, and he kind of throws them a little bit different. Actually kind of like hits you with the inside of his foot right there on the calf, but people say it's just like hellacious, just a nightmare. And then obviously has just the hands. Kind of entered the matrix, the flow state against Khalil Roundtree there towards the end and just pieced him up. Rip into the body. And going upstairs. Man, he's just a fucking monster. Then he's going against guy Magomed Ankalaev, big old bastard from Dagestan. Doesn't really have like the typical Dagestani grappling focused game plan, though. He actually kind of almost has more like a karate point fighter kickboxing style. He's a southpaw. He's got a nice jab, overhand, jab straight. Likes to do the rear kick to the body. Sometimes low, mostly, I don't want to say mostly the body, but he goes to the body quite a bit with the rear leg kick. Kind of plays patty cake with the lead hand, reaching out, grabbing your hands, pulling them down. Ducks down to the right and throws a straight left. I wonder if that might be an opportunity for Pereira to catch him with a kick as he ducks to the side. Kind of has a wide stance as well. He was getting chewed up with leg kicks from Jan Blachowicz. So I feel like that might be a chance for Poatan to capitalize here. There's a bit of an age difference. Poatan's getting a little bit up there in age, unfortunately. This is kind of the back nine of his career. If he gets through this, though, man, 37 years old. What is Ankalaev, 32 or something? Yeah, 32. Man. I'd like to see Poatan get it done. This one, it's hard for me to separate my bias. At minus 120, I kind of got to go Poatan. Poatan inside the distance, plus 115. Or straight up minus 120. You might as well play him inside the distance. He fucking murders everybody. I could see him finishing with some leg kicks, something like that. I just think the power is going to be too much. I think he's more technical. I think he stylistically matches up pretty well in the striking department with Ankalaev. I think he's going to be able to chew him up with those leg kicks, maybe get the counter going. The question is Ankalaev going to go out there and try to grapple? If he's smart, he will. With the Dagestani connections, surely the dude can get some looks in the gym, get some work in, some grappling work, and bring that part of his game up enough to threaten Pereira there. But conversely, Pereira being in camp with Glover and Plinio, like they know that that's what people are going to be trying to do. So you would assume that he in turn is going to be trying to work defensively against that. I'm going to go Poatan. I'm going Poatan. We'll see what happens. God, this whole card is just full of fights where I'm like, oh, I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that. Good fights, though. This is going to be a fun card. It's almost one that you choose to sit out on the betting and just enjoy the card. Just sit and chill and get some good food and watch the card and just enjoy it. I guess that's it. We've pretty well broken everything down. That was a little bit faster than I expected, but that's all right. We don't need to be on here too terribly long breaking these things down. Hopefully we'll win some money. Good luck to everybody. Enjoy the fights. If you're new, throw me a follow, like, subscribe, all the other bullshit. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.